Hey, Charity.
Hi, Sarah.
What's today's topic?
I have no idea. You know why? Because we have to check our magical jar.
All right, let's find out.
I think I'm feeling orange today, though.
Okay.
Orange seems like a good color.
It's a good color.
Okay. Oh, we've got weird laws in America.
Okay. Interesting.
I guess let's find out what the weird laws are in America.
All right. Hey everybody, it's Sarah.
And it's Charity.
And welcome to Bobbleheads on the Dash.
And so today, we're going to talk about weird laws in America.
Yeah. And the United States has been around for a while, so I'm sure it's amassed some really weird stuff.
Well, in order for a rule to be made, that means someone had to have done it at least once, if not multiple times. So that's the weird thing about what we're going to talk about. But first, Sarah, what can our followers do to learn more about Bobbleheads on the Dash?
Well, they could like and subscribe, so that way they can find out when all the new shows come out, and then it gives you reason to binge once we do have like 500 episodes.
Yeah, so far you can binge 2,
going on 3, so...
Oh, we're toddlers.
But also, I know we're doing a podcast episode, but our channel has some other stuff like On Location and Harmon's in Hollywood, so you can check out the other things in the meantime. So, never a dull moment in the Harmon household. So, but all you gotta do is just subscribe, just check out We Harmon Sisters. We're on all the different platforms. Platforms. So, of course, we're on YouTube. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So... Like I said, we're almost
You know
everywhere.
what to do. Smash that subscribe button.
Yes, smash. And grind it up.
Hulk smash. Okay.
Hulk smash and subscribe.
Did we sufficiently plug ourselves? I feel like we did.
I think we did our due diligence for this one.
Okay.
Good, now let's get to the topic at hand. So we just found a few. Obviously, we have 50, but we were not going to be able to do all of those.
No, because we would be here for hours. We're just going to highlight some of the weirdest ones.
Just a few. So I'll start with, let's do Alabama. So Alabama, there are some interesting rules. One, no eating ice cream on Sundays.
Uh-oh.
Which is interesting. And then there was a
I am a felon.
Actually, that's true because Cherry does like ice cream.
I like ice cream all year round. I'll eat ice cream in the winter too. And I know we were talking to someone about this the other day because they were saying once the temperature hits or drops to a certain level, no ice cream until summer. And I'm like, no. Ice cream must be consumed all year round.
Yeah, it's like it's eating ice cream in the winter and eating soup in the summer. So you'll still eat hot stuff during the hot weather and cold stuff during the cold weather.
Although, okay, I'm a hypocrite because I find I do find that frustrating, eating out a nice hot bowl of soup or chili, and it's July 120 degrees, and I'm like, no.
Yes, it is associated with it. It's not like I'm just sitting around with a giant giant cauldron of chicken noodle soup, and I'm just dumping in the middle of August. But if you have a taste for it, but apparently. I guess, no, I'm kind of curious about also some of these rules. I'm thinking a lot of these rules probably took place in the 1800s, early 1900s.
Well, Sundays had those pesky blue laws. As we learned in our first documentary about Wonderland Park.
Our first award-winning documentary.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So, but yeah, I'm kind of curious how that came to be. With someone just eating ice cream one day, and I bet you it probably happened at church. Someone brought ice cream in the church or something.
Sold ice cream. If doing things on Sunday was seen as a no-no, then in order for someone to eat ice cream, they had to have. Well, no, I guess more people made homemade ice cream. I don't know. We'll have to go to Alabama and see.
Well, the banjo on our knee, of course.
So my favorite listing from Alabama said no bear wrestling. Yeah. Alabama, what's up? Tell us about this bear wrestling that you guys used to do.
And which one won? Did the bear win the wrestling match? I feel like the bear would be the undefeated champion of bear wrestling, unless it's two. But it gives the impression that it'd be a bear and a guy wrestling, not just two bears wrestling. Because what are you gonna do? You gonna slap a fine on 2 grizzly bears or whatever?
I don't know. I feel like this is either something done on a dare. Or you got really drunk and decided that, hey, there's a bear in the woods. Guess what I'm about to do?
But enough to add it to the list of do's and do nots. You know, if you do get drunk, whatever you do, don't wrestle the bear.
Don't wrestle the bears.
So this is like a 200-year-old PSA, pretty much.
Okay, so here's one that I thought was hilarious, and I definitely want to know the story behind this one. So Alaska has a rule saying it's illegal to push a live moose out of a moving airplane. And this makes me think of the old Thanksgiving episode of WKRP in Cincinnati, where
as God is my witness,
yeah.
I thought moose could fly.
Yeah, they were dropping turkeys out of a plane, and so I'm like,
yeah.
First of all, okay, I don't think people realize how big a moose is.
They're
you know,
enormous.
Especially since we see them in like little plushies, and like we might see a video or something. But like, if you look at how tall a moose is in comparison to like a normal human size,
yeah,
like they're huge. So
they're
like, first of all, how do you get a moose into the airplane? Right?
While it's still alive.
I guess you have to drug it or something. Like,
yeah.
How do you get the moose into the plane? And then, are we pushing the moose out without a parachute? Or is there like a moose-sized parachute that like self-opens and you push the moose out?
I have a very sinking feeling that there's no parachutes involved.
That's true.
But it is a live moose. I'm glad that they had to specify that the moose had to be living.
Yeah, well, you don't want to... You don't want any moose.
I mean, I will say, if you did have to drop it out of a plane, you would hope it would already be deceased, so it wouldn't, suffer.
No animals were harmed in the making of this episode. We did not test out any of these theories.
But along those lines, not only are you not supposed to push one out of a plane, but you're not supposed to make it drink alcohol. Because you know how peer pressure goes in
No, but see, you get the moose drunk.
And then get him on the plane.
Yes.
And of course it's on a dare, because when he lands, he's going to be wrestling a bear. It all connects.
Yeah, but he has to go from Alaska to Alabama to wrestle the bear. So he has to get...
That's why it's the flight from
Alaska
Alaska to Alabama. Thank you for choosing.
Okay, here's the other thing too. Imagine being on the ground level and all of a sudden, you hear an airplane flying overhead. You look up and all you see is this big like blob coming towards you. And
what antlers?
What? Because you don't know what it is until it gets closer and closer. You're like, oh my gosh, there is a moose! Run! Like moose attack! Like just imagine this moose just falling feet in front of you, and you're like, I was just standing there. I could have been under that moose.
Yeah, that's. Chicken Run was right. Or not Chicken Run, Chicken Little. Chicken Little was right. Chicken Run already escaped anyway. They flew. They built little apparatuses.
So if moose got together, built their own plane, and escaped from a moose farm, I don't know, Moose Run 2. We can make our own
Moose Run. That sounds like that ollie exists somewhere.
Okay, so if we're still talking about animals,
yes,
Arizona says don't park your donkey in a bathtub.
Yeah, boy, did I learn the hard way.
What if the donkey put himself there? What if the donkey had a hard day of like pulling a large load, and that donkey's like, you know what would be really nice, like a nice bubble bath. Set up a little charcuterie board, put on a little Netflix, little Netflix on the tablet, and the donkey's just sitting there chilling, living his best life.
The donkey's a millennial, I guess, if you're going to pull that.
Donkey's been through some stuff. He just wants a nice bubble bath and to be left alone. And now there's rules against that. The poor donkey cannot be in the bathtub.
I do have a funny visual of that, though.
Justice for this donkey. Let him take his bubble bath.
He's got a little shower cap here with his two ears sticking up with a little back scrubber singing in the bathtub.
It's not a donkey, but I feel like there's an episode of Mr. Ed where he had a shower cap.
I'm fairly certain. I'm fairly certain that happened. Just calling up his... I don't know, I guess... Are they considered ancestors? Do donkeys and horses come from the same... They must come from a similar...
We can explore that in the next episode.
That's a whole other thing. That has nothing to do with weird United States laws.
I feel like a donkey would be closer to like a
zebra.
Yeah. Well, we'll explore that later. Because I know that's a burning question you guys have.
Yeah. Really, really hard stuff. So don't park the donkey in the bathtub. I think it's the fact of parking it. You're not, so don't park it there versus like making it go in there and bathing himself. Maybe that's the stipulation.
I mean, if you're going to have a bubble bath, you're going to be there for at least a 30-minute time. Like, you're going to have to spend some time. You don't just jump in the tub and then get out. It's not a shower, it's a bath. Let the donkey have his bath.
Please, for the love of Mike.
Come on, Arizona.
Yeah, do better. Okay, I'm going to do one. I'm going to pick a random one. So, there we go. In Michigan, this is for me in Michigan, in Detroit, it's illegal to let your pig run free without a nose ring. I love the double.
What was funny, I was kind of with you, and then the nose ring is kind of where I just stopped, and I was like, wait, what?
Maybe that's a way of letting them know, like, who the pig belongs to? I mean, almost like... Kind of like when you brand a cow or...
Well, yeah, like I've seen the bull with the little ring, but that's not a pig.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that came to play. Anybody from Detroit, Michigan that has some knowledge about this? Were there a lot of pigs in Detroit during the... Like I said, I presume a lot of these rules took place in the turn of the century or earlier, so... Early 1900s Detroit, was there just an influx of pigs, and they're like, I don't know which is which. The one with the ring, that one's mine. It's always kind of funny how you think these rules came to be. So, any Detroit Michiganonians, I don't know what you call yourselves, but people from Michigan, please verify. But also in Michigan, tossing a hoop skirt on a street or a sidewalk was a $5 fine for all those.
Are you taking the skirt off? Like, is someone running around in their petticoat?
Maybe that's why. Or maybe it's... I'm wondering if it's the hoops...
It's illegal to do...
So if you tossed a hoop skirt on a street or on a sidewalk, that was a $5 fine. That's
not bad, though. Because I'm thinking, if you've seen some of those clothing that, like, women had to wear, and there was so many layers and stuff, imagine it's, like, July, 100-something degrees, no air conditioning, you're walking around... in like a big hoop skirt and your petticoat and all your ruffles, and like, how hot would that be to where you're walking down the street and you're like, you know what, I can't take this anymore. I'm taking this dang skirt off and I'm throwing it on the sidewalk.
And then you're just running free. Yeah. And then someone's like, oh, that's a $5 fine.
You know what? I think freedom is worth $5.
Well, but this is also $5 in like the 1800s.
You know what?
That would have been about 100 or something.
Freedom is worth it because okay, so we went.
Look at that patriotism. Freedom is worth it.
So we visited recently the Sedgwick County Historical Museum.
Yeah.
And they have a couple different floors where it shows some of the clothing that women wore in different time periods.
Yeah.
And like the corsets. And like the skirts and all the layers and stuff, I'm just like,
they look so thick.
Not.
They're so thick and so heavy.
Yeah, like I want my yoga pants and like my extra large t-shirt. Do not make me wear a hoop skirt. So yes, $5 is worth it to throw that ridiculous thing on the sidewalk. I approve.
Well, there you have it.
So if you have a hoop skirt and you're walking downtown and you throw it on the sidewalk,
don't let that patriarchy get to you. You just run out with
I
those skirts.
support your decision. I completely do.
All
okay,
right, your turn.
So let's go back to Indiana, our old stomping grounds.
Go Hoosiers.
It says you cannot force a monkey to smoke a cigarette.
Again, it's more peer pressure with the animal kingdom, huh? we couldn't get a moose to get drunk, and now we can't have monkeys with a tobacco or a nicotine.
There's a lot of animal things. This just makes me think of maybe like either traveling circus.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Or those little road shows. What do you call them? Like the snake oil type.
Yeah, like medicine shows.
Yeah, medicine shows where you're like, hey, come buy my stuff, and by the way, I've got a monkey smoking out back. Like, you can see the wonders of the world.
Yeah.
But what? Monkey, you didn't say, it said cigarette, so like a cigar or a pipe is still in play.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious if somebody was inspired by the traveling show, and after they've gone to think, like, I wonder if I can go to a local zoo and kidnap a chimp and force it to smoke. Because I feel like if it was a traveling thing, people might not be too happy with it, or maybe they were intrigued but not enough to be like, hey, I want to make this a part of a local act.
You have to teach it how to smoke. Like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, monkeys are smart though. Like, I think if you gave them a cigarette, like if they watched humans enough,
oh yeah,
they would know how to handle it. But like, a really hardcore smoking monkey, he would have to learn that, I think.
You know, that's a great sentence. A hardcore smoking monkey. Something that we didn't think that those words were going to come together and make a sentence that makes sense. See, that's the best thing about doing podcasting and conversations where you wouldn't think these words go together, but here we are, sitting right here, a hardcore smoking monkey.
Okay, I want to fly over to Maryland real quick.
Oh, okay. Let's see what Maryland.
Let's take a trip over to Maryland. Because in Baltimore, here's another animal one, it's illegal to take a camel to the movies.
Yeah. Unless it was Camel cigarettes, that's your loophole.
Yeah, well, the camel's giving cigarettes to the monkey. It's forcing itself upon him.
Thus causing the moose to drink. It all connects somehow. See, but again, what happened? Like, I can't wait. This is the best movie. You know what? Gone with the Wind's coming out, and I want to bring my pet camel so we can hear the immortal words of Rhett Butler. Like it's just funny when you think about that. Like, someone actually brought a camel into the movie house.
I mean, this goes back to what we were saying about the moose. Like, if you look and see how big a camel is,
oh yeah,
in proportion to a human size, like, what? How did you get it through the door?
Yeah. How much is a ticket? That's the big thing. Like, is that considered a child or an adult? What's the rate?
I think the camel too. Like, if I were sitting there watching a movie and a camel stood up and blocked the whole screen, I would be mad too. Like, maybe they should just have a movie screening just for camels so that they can all gather together and watch their film. And it doesn't matter if someone's standing in front of them because they could see over each other.
Yeah, it'd be like, what movies aside from like...
You could see between the two humps. It's like you can see a perfect view.
I bet you they brought a camel in the movies because it was a Christmas film and he was starring as one of the camels that the wise men rode on.
Well, that would be like a live play.
No. It's in the movie, and then the camel's like, "That's me. I was."
Camels don't have fingers. He would have to.
Oh yeah, the hooves.
I just want to be accurate. Okay. We've gone off the deep end.
They got my eyes watered. Oh my god. Yeah, sorry, I'm not able to replicate the hand hoof motions.
Okay, we gotta blink them tears back.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Should we go to another state? Okay, I guess it'll be me this time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, something that we're pretty good at doing right now. In Idaho, there's no frowning in public. So we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good right now. We won't get in trouble. Unless a camel was...
It's going to take us a while to get through this episode. I'm still crying.
Well, we were doing good up until you were trying to move my fingers.
Tears. Well, camels don't have fingers.
But yeah, so in Idaho, there's no frowning in public, but just to add more animals to our list, no fishing with a beaver, or no fishing on the back of an elephant. As one does.
Why are those related? A beaver or
an elephant?
An elephant.
Well, the difference is that you're not riding on the back of a beaver. You crush it. So
Gosh, I hope not. How big is that beaver?
I know, it's the size of the elephant. It's a beaver with a trunk. But apparently you don't... If you are going to go fish, you need a fishing buddy. Make sure it's a human and not a beaver.
Unless you're using the beaver to catch the fish. Like if you're holding the beaver underwater and he's got his paws and he's like picking the fish up for you.
You would probably bring the beaver so he could dam up the river so that way the fish would stay on one side. And then the water rises so much that you can't wade in it, so then you have to get your pet elephant to go.
But a beaver will dam up the river anyway, so you don't have to bring him with you. You just need to go where the beaver dam is.
Yeah, but if he knows where all the fish is, and if, because I'm assuming that the guy and the beaver can communicate somehow. Be like, hey, beaver, whatever the beaver's name is, you see that pond? I'm told that there's like hundreds and thousands of fish in there. So if you just dam up the river right here, and I'll get Ellie the elephant with me.
Yeah, why is the elephant there?
I don't know. What's funny is that these are actually two separate rules, but they both dealt with not fishing with a beaver and not fishing while riding on the back of an elephant.
Elephants don't eat fish, right?
I don't think so. I mean, I guess they're not in the environment where there is a lot of fish around.
I guess
they
mainly
eat
circus.
Probably because I don't see a lot of just random fish in Africa. You know, a lot of times they're in the desert and stuff, so I guess they're just mainly eating plants. Well, because elephants aren't carnivores, right? They mainly do plants. Correct?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah. They don't eat fish.
So, but you know what? I bet you there's some pescatarian elephants in the world somewhere.
Well, maybe that's why you want to go fishing with an elephant, because he's not going to try to steal your fish. He doesn't want them. So
then that's logic then.
If you go to dinner with a vegetarian and there's 2 steaks, you get 2 steaks.
Yeah, they're not going to fight over it.
So, I go fishing with an elephant because they don't want the fish.
Yes. See? Logic, question mark?
Now that's a rule that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to take us to California.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, in California, I assume this is still in effect because it is illegal to drink cement.
I hope so. I would think every state and every country and every continent would enforce a law like this.
I wonder if they made a rule about Tide Pods. Remember Tide Pods a couple years ago? People were eating those. Did that ever make it into the rule book? Because while we're laughing at these turn-of-the-century rules, I was going to say we're not the generation, but we are alive at the same time that we witnessed a generation eating Tide Pods.
Yeah, history repeats itself in the weirdest ways.
So Tide Pods are the new cement of the California rule.
Again, how did this happen? Was somebody pranking somebody like, hey, Joe, I made a milkshake just for you. And they're like, that milkshake looks a little suspicious. Like, oh, this is the old gravel milkshake. You know, and Gravel is the name, not the ground up rocks, but Mr. Gravel, who owns the
now we've gone
drugstore.
To the Flintstones.
Well,
like Mr. Slate.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how did you know the difference between like food and concrete, right?
What was cement made out of? Because there's those, like, I don't know, maybe like Little House on the Prairie. There was a scene where I think Willie was eating the paste, right? And, you know, that was supposed to be used for glue for their project or whatever. But, like, if paste is made out of regular materials that you would, or not materials, regular ingredients, that's like flour and water and, like, I don't know, cornstarch. Like
paper mache.
Yeah, so, like, what was cement made out of back in the day? Because if it was made out of regular ingredients that you could find in your house or on a farm or in your kitchen, maybe the cement wasn't like what we would think that's out on the street.
Maybe, but that's still...
It's still terrible. I wouldn't suggest eating cement, but maybe it was made out of, like, more wholesome ingredients back then, to where you could have just a good old cement shake and be okay with it.
I just feel like you wouldn't be able to digest it. I feel like there was some casualties.
I mean, cement has to harden. Yeah. But in order for it to harden, it needs, like, heat, sunshine, air... And you're not going to get that inside, right? Like, your insides are all wet, right? Like, with body fluids and blood.
I don't think enzymes can break up rocks or whatever. I don't know.
Unless it just passes through you. Okay, California, if you could do us a favor.
Please explain.
Okay, so one more for California. And this one I actually find kind of interesting. So in California, it's illegal to wear cowboy boots unless you own at least 2 cows. So if you are a 1-cow farm, you don't get to wear boots.
I feel like you wouldn't be a serious cowboy with only 1 cow. You would have to have a couple, I guess.
In order to be a cowboy, you at least need a cow. So you have the minimum requirement of a cowboy of having 1 cow.
I'm kind of curious if it was like, anybody, especially back then, I felt like everybody had at least 1 cow. Big deal. But if you want to be a serious cowhand, you gotta have at least 2.
Okay, but
or 2 plus.
Were cops coming up to people on the street and enforcing this rule? Like, did you have to have papers saying that you were at least a 2-cow farm?
I guess depending on the age of this dealing with the age of cowboys. maybe it'd be more of the sheriffs enforcing it versus cops. I don't know. I guess maybe it was a bit of a homeland kind of thing, like a pioneer. It felt like it's some kind of pioneer related thing.
But it's not having to do with owning land or like the gold rush or anything. It's like your footwear is in question.
Yeah, I guess to be a legitimate cowboy, you kind of have to show your worth.
But I'm saying, do you have to carry around proof? Like, I am a card-carrying 2-cow cowboy, and I have earned the right to wear these boots.
I guess so.
In order for that to be a rule.
Maybe there was a sense of pride with that. Like, it showed that you were serious about your work and what you own. I don't know. I feel like that's a rule that's a bit far removed from my modern mind. So I'm trying to figure out the logic for that.
The only thing I've seen in movies and in like a couple TikTok videos is like for people who are actually from the South and like they might have cowboy boots or they might have a hat or like the big belt buckles or something, and then you've got some city slicker from upstate that's like, hey, I'm taking a trip to Texas, and they show up and
they're full duds.
Yeah, and they've never been on a ranch or on a farm. They have only seen a picture of a horse.
Yeah.
And they're coming into town thinking they're fitting in, and really they're not, because you can tell.
Yeah, you definitely
a real one versus a poser. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's like, hey, we got all these upstate people pretending to be ranch hands when really they're not. So it wasn't a rule against townsfolk. It was
more the outsiders.
Yeah,
the outsiders.
And people coming in. That's my theory, and I'm sticking with it because I feel like that could be a fun movie or something.
That does sound like a good plot. Mm-hmm. You know, like if you're a real cowboy, you have two.
Or so if someone's freaking out because they have 2 cows and one died or one got stolen, and they're freaking out because it's like, that's my validation. Someone took my cow, and now I gotta walk around barefoot. I can't wear these.
Honestly, that's
the barefoot cowboy.
That's kind of fun. That's a fun storyline. that one I'll have to like research to find out the actual origins of the rules, but that would be kind of fun.
Well, if anyone would like to make the barefoot cowboy with us, drop a note in the comments because we might have a storyline for you.
I feel like a lot of stories could be concocted with all these weird rules. Okay, so Colorado is interesting because this seems very unlikely. So in Colorado, you must put a tail light on your cat in case it sneaks out the house. Because we all know how good cats are when you're putting stuff on them. Because they stay nice and still and they don't try to run away from you and scratch you.
I love those YouTube videos where people like put socks on their
the dogs and the cat.
And they're like, they're trying to walk and like,
it's so funny.
It's like they've never walked before. Those are some of my favorite videos. I'm like, I'm easily entertained.
So if it's hard to do that, and also like, I guess that was normal. So like, if you had a cat, maybe I guess every cat would have to have and what does a taillight for a cat consist of? Like, are they specialized little light bulbs you just put on the tail or something?
No, it depends on when that rule is made.
Or do you wrap it around their waist and then they kind of go, well, it's a tail light. It would have to go on their back or on their tail or something. It would have to go somewhere in the back.
Maybe it's like a little lantern that hangs. I mean, you probably don't want to...
Because nothing says fire hazard like putting a lantern on a cat that doesn't move or run around.
It depends on when this rule was put in effect. Did they have light bulbs yet? Or like...
Enough to say to put a tail light on it, so within the 20th century...
Maybe it was just some sort of reflector. Because, like, for back then, you wouldn't have been able to have a wireless light.
Yeah. It's still the fact that you're putting that on a cat. Like, that seemed like the least likely animal, because yes, cats and dogs, they might escape the house, they'll run away, but at the same time, it's like, if all the cats run away, they all got tail lights, they all kind of blend in.
They all meet in the woods, you see this glowing
giant
light.
Glowing orb.
It's like, oh, them cats are meeting again.
Is that incantation? Are they doing chants?
That was a little cat prayer meeting, like a little revival.
Little kitty cat revival.
Meow 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 meow.
Hallelujah.
Meow 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 meow.
Oh my gosh. Baxter the cat. Yeah.
That actually would be creepy though. It's like 3 a.m. It's dark in the woods, and you hear this low like meow chant of like 100 Towns cats, and this slowly like glowing tail light. This is why the cats escape at night.
Yeah, and then you have like this weird high noon situation where it's like we're gonna, you know, the
meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, 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 meow.
meow, meow, meow.
Why can't we take anything seriously? But he would kind of look like Puss in Boots though, just with a cowboy hat.
So he walks on two.
Oh, he would have to. Well, he's got to hold his little holster up.
Yeah, the cats put it on themselves. I think that's what we discovered.
The cats are really in charge here. It's their world. We're just living in it.
For something like that, yeah, that's another storyline in the works.
All right, so for our last state, we're going to fly all the way East Coast to the top. We are going to visit Maine. It's illegal to walk down the street playing the violin. Okay, now here's my backstory for this. Because there's always that joker who's like, you know, really proud of some random talent he has. Mm-hmm. Like, you'll go to a party and he's like, look, I'm double jointed. And he'll like twist his arm around or something. Like, there's always that. Like, nobody asks for it, yet he's always doing it. And you've experienced that in modern day, because there's a guy at a party and somehow he goes into the den or something and he's like, dude, you got a guitar? And then for the next 2 hours, he's playing songs that he maybe halfway learned when he was 16, and he's stumbling over it. And he's like, no, I can play this.
Yeah.
You know, and he might play halfway decent, because like a real guitar player, you know, if he's actually a musician or something, he's probably not going to play guitar at a party. Yeah. And if he is, then that's only after some constant begging, because he's like, he either doesn't want to show off or he's already been playing guitar all week. Like, let the man have a break. But like the one guy who knows maybe 4 chords and is like, hey, I can play this, that is where it gets annoying. So my theory for the state of Maine, there was probably some kid, I'm going to guess he's maybe like 17, and playing the violin was like the hot thing in the city at that point. Mm-hmm. And he was walking around playing, you know, everyone want to take requests, and he only knows like 3 songs, and that's it. It's like, dude, shut up. Nobody wants to. So then they had to make a law to shut him up. No more violin playing. Yeah. So for Augusta, Maine.
And then he had to leave, and then he went down to Georgia, right?
I do like that song, actually.
So sorry, Maine, you could have been like part of this pop culture song.
It was too far north. He had to go down.
He had to go down south, where everybody plays outside.
Okay. To round off our last one, and this one, we've talked about airplanes a couple different times here. So in Maine, it's illegal to step out of a plane while it's in flight. Well, I should hope so, Maine. Why are you jumping out of planes during flight?
Yeah, I do like how it just gives the impression like, well, here's my stop, and then you just get like it's a train in the air.
Like, nah, I'm tired of this flight. Peace.
It's like, oh, there's my house. You know?
Like, you don't have to stop. I'll just go right here.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, I guess that means skydiving, but it just gives the impression where you're just walking, and then the door opens, and you're just like, yeah, there's my next stop. You know, actually, before we end, I know Charity was going to round it out, but we didn't talk about Kansas, and I guess we should, because we live in Kansas. So we need.
That's true.
So we should do. So
okay, let's make fun of our own state.
So Charity rounded off with Maine, and I'll round it off with with where we currently live. So. Again, 2 animal-related ones. So one, it's illegal to catch fish with your bare hands. And then the other one is hunting rabbits in a motorboat is prohibited. So I don't know if you catch the rabbit and you hunt them in the motorboat, or the rabbit is actually running the boat.
Okay, you went to Looney Tunes. Like,
If Bunny is because donkeys bathing in a bathtub is so realistic.
Don't leave the man alone. let him have his bath.
Leave the man alone? Oh, now he's human. He's transforming.
I will let this donkey have his bubble bath. This is where I make my stand.
Oh, okay. And this is where I'll just look at you and nod my head and be like, this is what I have to deal with. Yeah. So apparently this is the stance, the literal mounted stance that Charity's on.
Yes, this is where I'm parking it here. And on that note, thanks for joining us. Hopefully we'll revisit and do some more states because this is just nuts.
Yeah.